It was the funeral of a billionaire, and there was not a trace of sadness on the faces of his children. They were still complaining about the good weather the old man didn't pick. The eldest son poured out his old man's ashes. Suddenly there was a roar of a car. This shook the old man's ashes down. It turned out to be the grandson who had come for the funeral. He got out of the car with his sunglasses on and a lollipop in his mouth. Behind him were his friends. Mom saw him coming. She scolded him for being late, but he was fine with it. After the funeral, the children were happy to get together. They brought their own team of lawyers. They wanted to divide up the estate of the old man. What they didn't expect was that when the lawyer read the will, they couldn't get any share of the estate. The eldest son went into a rage when he heard about it. The second daughter threw up her hands and left in anger. And grandson Jack sat back and didn't care. His father died a long time ago. Rumor has it that his father was killed by his grandfather. So the relationship between him and his grandson has never been good. He didn't think he'd get a share of the inheritance. When everyone had left, he got up to leave too. But then the lawyer stopped him. The lawyer said that his grandfather had left him a copy of the tape. Jack sat down impatiently. He put his feet right up on the table. Grandpa says to him that it's all his fault. He'd mishandled the family business. Grandpa felt most sorry for you. To make up for it, I'm giving you a super gift. This gift comes in 6 pieces. One is more important than the other, but you have to complete the task beforehand. You can't give up in the middle. If you give up, you'll get nothing. The housekeeper hands Jack a ticket. A flight to Houston tomorrow. Jack heard that he had a mission to complete. He turned around and left. When he got home, Jack told his girlfriend about it. She's excited to hear about it. She urged Jack to go for it. There might be money in it. Jack thought to himself, who needs more money? He went to the airport early the next morning. He followed the instructions and got off the plane. He was picked up by his grandfather's best friend, Nick. Jack was taken to a farm. The next day, Jack stayed in bed and couldn't get up. Nick saw this and had no choice. So,
Good morning.
What is your problem?
Nick took Jack to the farm. Nick told him to drive a stake. He told Jack $1 for each one he drove. After Nick drove off, Jack chose to lie flat, and Nick left him alone. He got him here every day on time. He then realized it was a test for him. He couldn't leave until he did. He began to drive the stake, but they were all crooked. When Nick saw them, he took them away on his cart and redid them. Slowly, Jack drove the stakes so straight that he couldn't see the end of them. At the end of the mission, Nick took him to the airport. He told him, if you do things like a stake, you can do anything. There's nothing you can't do. Jack didn't understand. He asked Nick where his gift was. Nick just laughed. Jack went back feeling he'd been tricked. The lawyer told him that work was a gift. Jack was angry when he heard that, but he also understood his grandfather's good intentions. He asks what the next gift will be. The lawyer says you'll find out when you get home. Jack drove home. It wasn't a surprise. It was a surprise. His house had been emptied by the lawyer. He went to the garage and even his sports car had been towed away. He went to a restaurant with his girlfriend. He ordered an 82-year-old Coke, but his bank cards were frozen. Jack asks his girlfriend to pay the bill. His girlfriend burst into tears. She said, I can't believe you're making me pay for this. You don't love me anymore. She took the opportunity and ran away. Jack wanted to stay overnight at a friend's house, but his friends turned him down when they heard. Jack was so angry he smashed his phone. Now Jack has nothing. The old man laughed out loud. He told Jack that when you have nothing, you can feel the truth of a relationship. He'd been through it himself 2 or 3 times, and told him that the next test is to find a true friend when you have nothing. To find a true friend. This rich kid is broke and has to sleep by the pool, and was chased away by the maid with a toilet brush. He sleeps on a park bench. The homeless man resents him for taking his place. The homeless man offers to flip a coin. Both men felt their pockets. The pockets are cleaner than their faces. Then the little girl who was watching pulled out a coin. Jack tossed it into the air. The homeless man picked it up and ran away. Jack was impressed too. Early that morning, Jack saw the homeless man grabbing food. He had a strong sense of justice and he yelled at the homeless man. The homeless man was still trying to take his place. Don't even think about it. As a token of their gratitude, the mother and daughter, they treated Jack to a full meal. After hearing what happened to Jack, the little girl, ready to help him pass the test of being a true friend, they came to the lawyer. The girl said she was a good friend of Jack's. The lawyer didn't believe her. He thought they were making a deal. The little girl replied wisely,
Look at him. Does he look like he has anything to offer?
After passing the test, the lawyer pulled out an envelope and gave it to Jack. Jack saw that it was a check. Happily, He took it and left. In the lift, he opens it and it's only $1,600. It turns out he earned it from his hard work. Grandpa told him that the third test, he was to use the money to help someone in need. Jack knew exactly who he was going to help. He was going to give some to the homeless man, and when the homeless man saw him, he ran away. It turned out that he had been a thief and had grabbed the bag. Jack walked by and saw that it was a mother and daughter's bag. He saw that the bag was full of unpaid hospital bills. He went to the hospital and returned the bag to the mother and daughter. He saw the little girl lying naked in a hospital bed. He left the bag quietly on the counter, but on his way out, he met the girl's mother. The girl's mother told him the truth. The girl has leukemia and is in the middle of chemotherapy. Jack knew who to help. He paid the entire $1,600 bill he owed. Jack passed the third test. Grandpa told him about the fourth test. He wanted Jack to know the meaning of family. He needed to bring someone home for Thanksgiving. The first thing he thought of was a little girl. He found the little girl at the church. The little girl knew her time was running out. She was afraid her mother would be alone when she was gone. She wanted Jack to be able to take care of her mother. And Jack didn't want to see the girl sad. He said yes. He takes the girl's mother to his home for Thanksgiving. But here the family fights with Jack over the inheritance. Jack is furious and takes the girl's mother away. He finally understood the meaning of family. Families are supposed to help each other, not this kind of rivalry. Soon the next test comes. The grandfather wanted him to go to South America. Jack said goodbye to the little girl and promised her he'd come back to spend Christmas with her. This is the place where Jack's father died. Jack follows his guide to see the wreckage of the plane. It turns out that it wasn't Grandpa's fault that his father died. He had always blamed his grandfather. His father was tired of working. He got on the plane on impulse and was killed. And that's when danger creeps in. A group of bandits have captured the rich kid. They put him in a small dark room. They were going to exchange him for ransom. But Jack was locked in day after day. In the cramped cell, Jack's beard grew long. The bandits never saw the ransom, so they opened the door and put a black cloth over his eyes and dragged him outside. AK loaded and ready to dispose of him. Jack trembled with fear. After a burst of gunfire, turns out it was bandits on Christmas Day. Played a joke on them. The bandits were all very happy on the holiday. They were all drunk. They even left Jack's cell door unlocked. Jack saw this as a good opportunity. He opened the door and snuck out. Halfway there, he remembered his guide. He turns back and knocks out the guards and rescues the guide. They managed to escape from the jungle. When he returned home, the girl's mother was waiting for him back at the hospital. The girl blames him for her missing Christmas with him. She offered to let him ride with her as compensation. So Jack takes mother and daughter to Nick's farm. Nick was very sweet. He pulled a load of snow for the girl and put it outside the door. The girl was happy to see it. Jack received one last test from his grandfather, was to have his own dreams. Jack didn't have a dream. He asks the girl what her dream is. The girl said he didn't want to die. She wanted to be with her mother. Jack picked her up and comforted her. Back at the office, Jack told the lawyer he didn't have a dream, but he wanted to help the girl achieve her dreams. When the lawyer heard this, he gave him $100 million for his dream fund. Jack got the fund and set up Emily's house to help sick children. But before the project could get off the ground, bad news came. The girl left the world. Soon after the project was completed, but the girl was no longer visible. The lawyer called Jack in. The lawyer tells Jack that $100 million is also a test. Jack passed all of his grandfather's tests, and he wins the ultimate gift. It's a huge $2 billion inheritance. But he feels no surprise, because he's been given more gifts along the way. It was the dedication to his work, the true value of wealth, the hardships of life. It's the preciousness of friendships. It is the preciousness of freedom. It is the preciousness of health. It is the preciousness of dreams.